Hello, my name is Tia, and I'm going to welcome you to Culture Shock Week. Culture Shock Week is a week created to teach kids and honestly just anyone who wants to learn more about other cultures. I've noticed that a lot of people, kids especially, are very insensitive and just mean when it comes to other cultures, and I figured the best way to fix this problem would be to fix the main cause of it, which is people not knowing enough about other cultures to care about them. One of the main things people need to survive in today's world is cultural competence. Having cultural competence means that you are willing to try your best to build understanding between people, be respectful and open to different cultural perspectives, and strengthen cultural security, and work towards equality. Many schools aim to teach kids to have cultural competence from a young age by incorporating different cultures into school lessons and projects, and it's worked for a while, but recently it just hasn't been working as well, really. Kids are becoming less and less culturally competent by the year. I was reading a study by the Australian Children's Education and Care Quality Authority, and they explained that cultural competence has underlying principles of trust, respect for diversity, equity, fairness, and social justice, all things that I personally feel society has begun to lack. Because children are beginning to lack these fundamental ideals, they're starting to care less and less about respecting and learning about other cultures. One of the main things children need to do to have cultural competence is gain knowledge of different cultural practices and worldviews, while also being aware of their own. So I created this Culture Shock Week to hopefully help them do that. Basically, the week will just teach them little things about a culture, like its history, its music, its art, etc. This should expose them to new things and make them more interested in other people. If they're interested enough, they might even go off and do their own research to learn more about another culture. So, long story short, I just want to teach kids to be less culturally insensitive and appreciate others more. Okay, now that I'm done explaining what Culture Shock Week is and why I'm doing it, we can get started with the actual culture of the day. So, how Culture Shock Week works is I pick 5 out of the 7 continents for the 5 days of the week, and each day I teach a few things about a culture from one of those continents. I figured that for the first ever Culture Shock Week, I would start off with cultures that are a little more well known, just so it can be easier. But I plan on trying some very new cultures next year so that I can do a lot more research and learn a lot more myself. Anyway, the continent I decided to start with is North America, and the culture I picked was Native American culture, more specifically the culture of the Chickasaw people. Now, most people already know quite a bit about Native Americans or the American Indians because we learn about them in school, so I tried my best to provide some facts that we didn't learn. Hopefully this isn't too repetitive for anyone who's watching, but I hope y'all will enjoy the PowerPoint. Okay, so we're starting off with the origins of the Native Americans. For pretty much all the cultures that I'll be covering this week, this section will be the same because all people originated from the same place. The only difference between the Native Americans or the Chickasaw and all the other cultures is that they have an actual migration story that will be read in the next section. But anyway, during the last glacial period, some 11,500 to 30,000 years ago, nomadic hunters from Northeast Asia crossed the Bering Strait land bridge, giving rise to the American Indians, also known as the Native Americans. Native Americans had taken over most of North, Central, and South America by around 10,000 BC. Next is the actual history of the Chickasaw people themselves. So, the Chickasaw Nation website states that Ababenali, or the creator, led the Chickasaw to North America. Their ancestors' decision to leave the West behind is where the story of their migration begins. They looked to Ababenali for direction and begged the prophets for assistance. The direction of the rising sun is where the prophets advised the Chickasaw ancestors to look for a place to call home. They were given a pole by Ubba Benelli. When a day's trek was over, they would bury the pole in the earth and go in the direction it leaned towards in the morning. The group repeated this process until they made it to their homeland in modern-day North Mississippi, Northwest Alabama, West Tennessee, and Southeast Kentucky. The Chickasaw people came into contact with Europeans for the first time in December of 1450, when Hernando de Soto, a Spanish explorer, and his conquistadors landed in their territory. Numerous European countries discovered that they could not expand their colonies on their own and had to rely on the Chickasaw for military defense and trade tactics. The Chickasaw were quite careful when it came to the Europeans, but they still aided them. The Chickasaw would only trade for goods they were unable to obtain on their own, and when they did, it was done with deliberate planning to ensure they got what they required without any problems. The Chickasaw did have to engage in combat with the Europeans when necessary. Due to their shared territory, they engaged in frequent combat with the French. Also, the Chickasaw fought alongside the British during the French and Indian War. The Chickasaw people and the Europeans lived in relative peace until the U.S. Congress passed the Indian Removal Act in 1830. The Chickasaw removal was the most traumatic chapter in their history. They were made to evacuate their native land and settle in an area designated as Indian Territory. Chickasaw leaders were skilled negotiators who were able to obtain good rates for the sale of their Mississippian land. This meant that the Chickasaw tribe could afford their own departure in contrast to other tribes. Because they were permitted to control their own removal and delayed moving until seasons that were favorable, the Chickasaw tribe suffered far less during their relocation than other tribes. However, families still encountered tragedy and death when traveling, and their suffering, along with the occasionally difficult circumstances they faced, should never be forgotten. The Chickasaw began to establish themselves in Oklahoma after they arrived at their new homeland. They coexisted in a common area with the Choctaw people until their separation in 1856. This region is still home to the Chickasaw Nation. Now that we have the history over, this is going to be the start of the actual culture-related things. It isn't a lot, but it'll teach you enough about the culture to get you interested. And if you're really interested in the culture, you can go off and do a lot more of your own research to go more in depth with it. The culture and the arts have always been very important to the Chickasaw Indians. They believe that the success of their country is largely dependent on the study of the arts and humanities. This area will feature Chickasaw musicians, writers, painters, and storytellers. First up is our Chickasaw writer, Linda Hogan. She is a Chickasaw author that wrote many books about Chickasaw culture, and she actually won a Pulitzer Prize for fiction. A few of her works are Mean Spirit, Solar Storms, People of the Whale, and Dwellings, a spiritual history of the living world. I don't think it's anything that I'm personally interested in reading, but they seem like very good books for people who like nonfiction and informational books. And like I said, she won a Pulitzer Prize for fiction. So there are a few fiction books by this author that I haven't looked into yet. So you can check those out on your own. The next thing I want to talk about is Chickasaw spoken word. So cold. The Chickasaw believe that a group's original language is what defines their culture. It was said that the ancient Chickasaw language was very agreeable to the ear, courteous, and musical. Men and women alike would frequently participate in music and dance to go along with spoken word in Chickasaw culture. One of the most important and well-known spoken word artists is Teata Fisher. I will leave a link in the description of this video for a website that will give you more information about Teata if you want it. I think it'd be good to look at. Anyway, a great value was placed on storytelling in Chickasaw culture. The Chickasaw revered and valued the concept of keepers of the flame. Long before written language existed, stories were passed down from one generation to the next. After receiving the oral stories, a keeper's duty was to carry on the tribe's tradition by telling its stories. Chickasaw storytellers were and still are among the most respected people in their community. Their legends served as a constant reminder to people for ages about their identity, purpose in life, and place in the universe as a whole. Through words, prayers, and songs, their stories came to life. Through them, we can still hear the voices of their ancestors recounting what is sacred and what is history. They continue to share some of the same ancient stories that were told long ago. Here are a few video examples of Chickasaw storytelling.
Chukma sahochifoa fani iskanotsi. Fani iskanotsi. Himakanitak koni ilitiminopali. Koni. Yapat koni. Konia iskanotsi. Iskanotsi. Konia iskanotsi. Konia ishto. Ishto. Konia ishto. Koniat lawa. Lawa. Koniat iksho. Iksho. Koniat nosi. Koniat nosi. Nosi. Koniat okcha. Okcha. Koniat sapogni. Sapogni. Koniat himita. Himita. Koniat hopoba. Hopoba. Koniat kaya. Oh, kaya. Koniat latia. Latia. Koniat chofata. Chofata. Koniat cinco. 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 Koniat chona. 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 Koniat Sheila. Sheila. Koniat Schleiter. Schleiter. Koniat Ayopa. Koniat Hasha. Hasha. Koniat Bilama. Bilama. Koniat Shoha. Shoha. Yamakilla. Hi, my name is Little Squirrel, also known as Sherry Begay, and today we read Coney. Coney is a skunk, and this is a book of opposites. You can get your copy at chickasawpress.com. In the back of the book, there is a list of terms so that you can discover, if you know exactly what I was saying, what those words mean. I hope you enjoy this book. This is the board book, and they also have a paperback version. Chukmashki.
Oh, fire is our name.
Look, there is fire. We need fire. It's in that hollow sycamore tree on the island. Fire. How we need it. But who should go get it? I am so small, but still, I can walk across water. But what about me, the crow, and my lovely white feathers? And look how I can fly, so mighty and powerful, across the water, over to that tree. Even if my feathers get a little dirty, at least I can carry back that fire just like a piece of wood. Oh my, it is so hot over here. I can't get in that tree. Oh, I am burning up. I'm on fire, even flying. Oh no, my feathers have turned black. Look at Crow. His feathers are charred. I must say, once again, I am just a small creature, but I know I can bring fire on my back. Not at all. Let me do it. I'm already going. An owl can bring fire. We have wisdom. And look how fast we zoom in for a landing. Faster than... Youch! Oh no! He went to the tree and his eyes have turned red. Even the wise owl returned without fire. He has rings around his eyes. Look how he rubs and rubs to get the smoke out. It must hurt. I may be just a little spider, and my voice is so small, but I've carried things across the water before. I can swim through water faster than anything. Maybe I am pale and look weak and thin, but a snake can go into the tree at the bottom and reach the fire without the fear of smoke. Poor us. Even the racer cannot bring us our fire, and we need it so much. Well, okay, Spider. You are little and kind of ugly with your black downy hair and your 8 legs. But you are the last one who might have a chance, so we will let you try it. See how I cross the water? Oh, Spider! Spider! Look! Did you know a spider could weave a bowl out of silk and clay and carry it on her back? A spider can bring a coal in that bowl and return to the others. Spider, you have brought us fire. You are our helper, our friend. You have found a way to bring fire, and you are so small. Who would have known? On second thought, you are so lovely. We never really said you were ugly. We will always take care of you, Spider, and all the rest of the beautiful eight-legged creatures.
Those were very nice stories, and now we are moving on to Chickasaw foods. The Chickasaw people have always relied heavily on agriculture and homegrown fruits and vegetables as a source of food. One of their staple foods is corn. The Chickasaw have many recipes, and they have been compiled into a lot of cookbooks written by Chickasaw people. An example, I was gonna move on, but also, there are a lot of Chickasaw cookbooks online, but they all have to be purchased. I was going to include a recipe from one of those, but I could not get one because I don't have the money for it right now. But an example of a Chickasaw dish that you can make at home that I found a recipe for online is Indian fry bread. This slide is a recipe for Indian fry bread. I'm not going to read it, but you can always screenshot it if you want to try making it. I'm sure there are also plenty of YouTube videos that will teach you how to make this dish. And I would love to hear about it. If you tried it, you can comment about it. But yeah, that just so happens to be all that I have for the Chickasaw people. So this is the end of Culture Shock Day 1. Before I end the video, I want to apologize for any noise or any stuttering that I did. I'm filming outside and my dog is running around and making a lot of noise, and it's really cold. So yeah, but if you enjoyed learning about the Chickasaw people, I strongly encourage you to go out and do your own research on them and just help yourself to become more culturally competent. If you want to learn more about other cultures, please click on the Culture Shock Week playlist that is linked on the screen somewhere. It probably doesn't have much in it right now because it's the first day of Culture Shock Week, but by Friday, it should be full. If you want to help me out, please go to the description and fill out the survey I have linked there. It would really help me to gauge how well these videos work and what I can do to improve them for next year. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.